Trevs Hockey Show. I'm the Trev. Sweet. Anyway, continuing on, but also finishing up. Second last one. With my favorite players from every team of all the times, or at least as long as I've been watching them. And technically, I have been watching this one since they established themselves in Carolina. Well, technically, I was around for them when they were in Hartford too, if you don't count their WHA days. But talk about the Carolina Hurricanes. Let's do it. So here's a brief little history lesson. The Hurricanes have been in Carolina since 1997, and that was after they relocated from Hartford, where they were the Whalers since 1979. Before that, they were in the WHA from 1972 to 79 as the New England Whalers. So, a bit of a longer history than what suggests, but we won't be talking about any Hartford or New England Whalers in this video, mostly because I wasn't alive for the New England Whalers, but no sense talking about Whalers in a Hurricanes video. They've been to the Stanley Cup Finals twice, winning it once last time and the only time in 2006. And they've had some good names. They still have some good names on the team right now. Here's my favorite. So, in order, as always, one goalie, two defensemen, three forwards. Let's discuss. Sin net, it's a pretty obvious choice. Cam Ward. I mean, yeah, he wasn't the most successful playoff goalie. I mean, he's only in net for two of their playoff runs. But without Cam Ward in net for 2006, there's no Stanley Cup. I don't think I need any real stats to back that up. I think it's just a fact. Well, that and incredibly lucky amount of luck. I mean, other than that, it's hard to think of another goalie without thinking Cam Ward first. Starting defense with Dougie Hamilton. Yeah, I know, you might not be happy about this choice, but hear me out. He was only there 3 seasons, I get that. But in those 3 seasons, he was always a threat for a Norris Trophy, receiving votes in the 2 of the 3 years he was there. And he was always guaranteed at least 40 points. So, for an offensive defenseman, I mean, yeah, he's not in the caliber of Roman Josi, where he's scoring 90 points, but to score 47 points in just as many games for the shortened 1920 season, I mean, that's saying enough. But off to greener pastures. Continuing defense with Paul Coffey. Yeah, I know he was on there 2 seasons. I get that. But I grew up watching Paul Coffey basically from the time I started watching hockey to the time he retired. So it's more from a perspective of I'm a fan kind of standpoint than anything. But Paul Coffey makes my list. Starting the forwards off was Andrei Svechnikov. What's not to like? I mean, 5 years, he hasn't even hit his prime yet. And the fact that he scored 2 successful Michigans. If you're not aware, Michigan is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite goal of any kind you can score. The fact that he can pull off other moves too, other than, the lacrosse goals. The future in this kid is bright. I'm excited to see it. I mean, like I said, he's only been there 5 years. And Carolina's been pretty competitive for the last 5 years. I think a huge part is because of Svechnikov. Your current head coach and your former captain and the only captain in team history to lift the cup, Rod Brind'Amour. I mean, come on, 10 years, 2 trips to the cup, and always a threat for at least 50 points in a good year. What's not to like? And the fact the way for me, when I think of Brind'Amour, I always think of the moment where he just snatched the cup away from Bettman, didn't bother with handshakes or anything, just like, hey, thanks, it's mine, gone. I'll always remember that moment. And to round it all off, it wouldn't be a complete list if I didn't include Ronnie Franchise. I mean, come on. Why wouldn't you not include Ron Francis? I mean, between his time in Hartford, Carolina, the fact that he captained both franchises, took them to their first Stanley Cup final in 2002, I can keep going. I mean, as far as stats alone, as far as all-star representation, it's all there. The only thing that really would have made his career better in Carolina would have been coming out with a cup. But I mean, when you're up against the Red Wings in 2002, who's boasting 16 Hall of Famers, you're kind of limited in how far you're going to go. But he's definitely the first name I think of when I think of the Hurricanes, and a lot of it too is because, well, I've always been a Francis fan. For me, I mean, yeah, he was better in Pittsburgh than he was in Carolina or Hartford, but the amount of time he spent with this club says it all. I mean, he's the franchise all the way through. That's my list. Feel free to give me your favorite Carolina Hurricanes of all the times. It's another one of my Trevs hockey shows. I want to thank you for tuning in. Don't think I don't appreciate the gesture, especially if you've made it to this point. That's great. I mean, helps the algorithm, so that's a great thing too, right? But either way, if you want to let me know you're here, let me know you made it to this point, you want to say hi, you're digging what you're watching, there's that thumbs up button. Give me one of those. There's also that red button. If you haven't yet, why not? You know how it'll make you feel, and you know what we're going for. So let's hit that 250 mark. Hit that red button. Socials, they're in the description down below. One more, and then we're done this project. But either way, in the meantime, in between time, be looking for more videos from Trev. Later.